Coming to you live from Arcane Sublevel 7, it's Talk is Cheap. Now here's your host, Dan Hohlfeld.
And it's Aaron. Welcome to Talk is Cheap, where cheap is talk, and talk is cheap, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me. I am broadcasting live from the clear blue skies of Wisconsin. Pretty amazing to think now. I was looking at the comments of a previous video. A lot of people were saying, oh, it's still getting chemtrails over here, but it's been pretty damn good over here. I'm real excited about the clear skies. Seeing that cleaner air is going to help be more enthusiastic about the world changing. So, of course, we are on the K2D4 network, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today on this Tuesday, July 23rd, 2019 edition. We're here live every Tuesday, 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. I was reading the chat as we were getting into the intro there. I didn't realize Johnny Ace was from Israel. So shout out to you, Johnny. Okay. Lots of stuff to cover here. I want to get into some clips about Trump and Pence talking about space travel. Where is that going? We kind of seen stuff stall out a little bit. In due time, I suppose we'll start getting stuff happening. But I got an interesting segments from Pence when he was talking to one of the reporters. So I'm going to play those clips coming up. I want to talk about the ID laser beams that the Army has so they can identify you through the use of laser beams. That's pretty scary stuff. And of course, glyphosate found in kids' cereal and cereal bars, if you will. There's no escaping this stuff, folks. It's all over. And all you can do is really minimize it when it comes down to it. So I want to get into some big stuff here. Let's go ahead and play that. Crazy stuff here, folks. Army let slip that it's conducting secret operation around DC. This has been tweeted out for a while. Actually, a couple days ago, I guess. News moves fast. But looking at this, so people are getting videos of Black Hawk helicopters flying around DC and all that stuff. The mysterious classified operation was disclosed when the Army asked Congress for approval to shift funds to provide an extra $1.55 million for aircraft maintenance, air crews, and travel in support of an emerging classified flight mission. Army spokesperson Wayne Hall declined in an email to comment on some possibilities, including whether the mission involved protecting the White House or other federal buildings. This operation began early in the fiscal year, which started October 1st, and the duration of the mission is undetermined. So this has been going on for a little while. We only just heard of this last week here. Does this have something to do with some of the QAnon stuff, the roundup, these mass arrests that were supposed to occur? Are they training for that? We hear of these stories that they are being rounded up and then taken down to Guantanamo and being tried, if you will, in these tribunals. Again, where's the proof? We want to see some real big proof on that. And not quite there, but the clear blue sky thing I do like, because it's kind of starting to see some evidence of that, which I do love. And that this segues right into the next article here. The demonization of QAnon, folks. You know, the media, when they start reporting on this, was actually reported on, actually both of these were that previous operation article here, and now this other one as well was put out by QAnon. Shooter wasn't trying to kill a mob boss. He was under QAnon delusion. So we know the media is trying to demonize the Q movement. Of course, you're going to have crazy people doing stuff. Can they be MK Ultra mind-controlled slaves? Of course. But apparently this guy wrote on his hand in the courtroom, MAGA, Make America Great Again, and also the big Q logo on his palm here. This is Anthony Comello. So a 24-year-old man who has been charged with shooting to death a reputed New York mob boss earlier this year thought he was under the influence of QAnon. Pro-Trump internet postings about President supposedly battling a cabal of liberal elites, his lawyer wrote in a recent submission to New York state court. Prosecutors have charged Anthony Comello with murder over a fatal shooting Francesco Cali is his name, the alleged leader of a Gimbo crime family who was gunned down outside of his Staten Island home in March. Comello's attorney argued that he became so engrossed with unsupported QAnon theories. Of course, they're going to say it's unsupported. That on his night of Cali's death, he was acting under a delusion which included that Democratic politicians, celebrities, and people associated with organized crime were part of the deep state, according to Comello's lawyer. He wrote that his client believed he was on a mission to save the American way of life. Again, demonize it. This is what the media does best. There must be something here to this QAnon thing if that's all they're going to do is sit and demonize it, make it a false a narrative, if you false flag thing saying, oh, this is a conspiracy theory, folks. So, of course, they got to demonize the whole topic altogether. You do that, people get scared to touch it and they get scared to research it. The plan was, okay, this is the Comello's plan to Kelly. The plan was to stage a citizen's arrest of Kelly, not shooting him. But after a heated exchange with Kelly, Comello says that the alleged mob boss, made a furtive action with his hand, which made Comello afraid for his life. He then reached into his pickup truck, grabbed a gun, and fired at Kelly, killing him. Because of his self-perceived status in QAnon, Mr. Comello believes certain that he was enjoying the protection of President Trump himself and that he had the president's full support. Again, these people are crazy people who support Trump, and they're going to go out and kill everyone. Again, there's going to be these few oddballs in the movement that do this. That's with any movement. Antifa is supposed to be anti-fascist. Look at, they're going around doing crazy stuff, but the media gives them their blessing, and they do not even talk about it. I don't understand that. Like, how can you go around, beat people terribly, and the media doesn't cover it, but as soon as something happens with a Trump support, oh my God, let's blow this whole thing up. It's all one-sided. It's unbelievable the way that happens. So sure, Sean in the chat, he says that guy is clearly MK Ultra, trying to paint Q believers as crazy and violent. Terry says all distractions from the court hearing today. Is that, are you talking about Mueller, Terry? So yeah, panic in DC? Question mark. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to segue right into our next topic. There's a lot to cover, but of course, the phone lines are always open if you wish to come on in. Yeah, Johnny, I was watching some of the YouTube vids with Comello, but they were older, from March, and it's kind of hard to tell because they don't really give him enough time to talk on there before they switch scenes and stuff. So it's just basically, oh, so you're not gonna go against, I can't remember what it was, but he was very cooperating. Yeah, Terry said yes in the chat about the court hearing for Bob Mueller. It should be interesting. There's nothing there probably, of course. Let's go ahead and transition on over, folks.
The ripping and the tearing.
Okay, this is a big win for the people here, ladies and gentlemen. Trump signs law that will prevent the IRS from unjustly seizing people's money. This was on July 8th, 2019. Awesome here. I believe the IRS and Federal Reserve is the enemy of the people. And to finally get some bills against us, we need to get rid of the whole damn thing, to be honest. But at least, he's probably trying to take baby steps here and incrementally do this. Basically, this whole thing, you don't own your money, they do. So breaking this article down here, in 2012, the Internal Revenue Service seized $446,000 from the bank accounts of brothers Jeffrey, Richard, and Mitch Birch, based on a claim that they violated legal source structuring law. The owners of Bi-County Distributors, Inc. made multiple bank deposits of less than $10,000, which landed them in hot water with the IRS. Oh no, it's your money, folks! But if you take that and try to get by the system so they can't see what you're doing, oh my God, they own your money. It's your business. You took the risk. You did it all. But it's theirs. They were never charged with a crime, nor did they receive a hearing to challenge the seizure. It was only after extensive media coverage and grassroots pushback that the government backed off and returned their funds. How many of these actually happen? IRS comes in, steals people's money. It's not picked up publicly through the press, and they just get away with it. This is the country that we live in. On Monday, July 1st, 2019, President Trump signed a bill with bipartisan support that would force greater accountability on the IRS when dealing with property seizures, with also protecting taxpayers from identity theft, strengthening whistleblower protections, and modernizing the tax agency. Taxpayer First Act, the IRS is required to show probable cause that smaller transactions were conducted to avoid financial reporting requirements. How did we get into this mess? How do we go from a free country, you make your money, it's yours, to, oh my God, you made smaller deposits, you're bad, we're going to steal your money from you. That's the opposite of freedom. Legal source structuring laws come into effect when larger financial transactions are divided into small transactions, which raises red flags with the IRS. If dividing the transaction up is done with the purpose of dodging bank reporting requirements, it is considered illegal, and the IRS is allowed to seize assets. Oh, I bet you are allowed to seize everything. You bust your ass trying to make a living, and these assholes, excuse my language, come in and just steal it from you. I'm so tired of this system the way it is. And the frickin' Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, or I just lost, not the IRS, the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve, we got to pay them money that basically they're just lending it to us, and we got to pay them interest on money they're lending. Why are we doing this? It's like, get rid of the middleman. It's so freaking dumb, and we just go back and forth with this crap. I'll be so happy once we get like total freedom. And rainbow currency, right? The rainbow currency can't come soon enough. Backed by gold. Get rid of this fake narrative that they paint over everything, that they own your ass. So here's some life news I figured I would throw in here real quick for those who are pro-lifers. Court rules President Trump can defund Planned Parenthood, will cut almost $60 million in taxpayer funding. This is huge because what this was doing, people who don't support the abortion, Planned Parenthood, were actually paying for these abortions. And that's like, you have no choice. So with this, it just allows that to happen. Nothing has gone through yet. A federal appeals court today ruled President Trump can partially defund Planned Parenthood. That's $60 million in taxpayer dollars. Oh, this pop-up is in the way. The abortion chain received about 50 to 60 million in Title X funds annually, but that could change now that the new rules are being implemented. The administration changes to Title X family planning grants have arranged the abortion chain Planned Parenthood, prompting a lawsuit. They could provide hope for life-affirming pregnancy centers, which can now compete with the abortion giant for federal funds. It's actually a pretty big thing. And QAnon's even talked about this too, the whole slush fund thing. And the abortion with Planned Parenthood, he did touch upon this, that's where well, I guess I should say some, because there's so much taxpayer dollars goes into that. you're funding that and you don't even know it. Just like we're funding Antifa too. A lot of people thought it was George Soros. I did. Turns out it's a lot of taxpayer money going to that. So that's enough to piss you off. Interesting thing here, and I definitely don't condone killing humans, but you know, it says it ends the lives of more than 332,000 unborn babies a year. Again, that would be an extra 332,000 people on the planet in the US. It's tough because it's like you don't want overpopulation, but at the same time, it's like I really don't condone this unnecessary killing either. You know, maybe like where's the fine line in that? Maybe like the morning after pill, but people need to be responsible and do that. That's the problem. No one wants to take responsibility. And it says here, a majority of all Americans oppose any taxpayer funding of abortion, 54 to 39%. You know, at the very least, like make people pay for their own. This whole thing where, and it comes back to this thing like, who's the ones that are constantly breeding all the time? It's the ones that don't plan ahead and don't think. I don't know. It's crazy how it works, but a lot of people that plan things out. There's people that want to have children, can't, and there's these ones that pop them out left and right and can't take care of them, but let's get on welfare and suck the taxpayers dry. So, I know it's a tough topic for some people. It is very heavy. Oh, yes. But let's go ahead and switch on over to the glyphosate. I've had this on here for a while and finally can tackle it today.
Good morning.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On News Punch, Monsanto glyphosate detected at alarming levels in these cereals. You think you're eating some clean cereal, ladies and gentlemen? Well, think again. Roundup is the most widely herbicide used in the world. Continues to be used on food crops, parks, playgrounds, and by homeowners everywhere. It's found in honey, cereals, meat, drinking water, infant formula, chips, cookies, crackers, oatmeal, and even breast milk. Talk about getting to the roots. Breastfeeding a baby, what it needs the most is good nutrients, and it's in there as well. It's everywhere, folks. You can't escape it. It's maddening to find out Roundup weed killer is found in your children's favorite cereal, your baby's food, and in the ice cream you like to treat yourself with on Sunday nights. Now, they do say the best way to get away from this, folks, is to buy certified organic food and grow your own food. You know, the issue comes in when you can get blowover, is what I'll call it. I think that's the official term, whatever. You can get another field of crops next to you that chooses to use spray, but it's going to get blown over with the winds and stuff and carry into your crops as well. It's in the air. It's everywhere. So now we break down the statistics of this thing. Environmental Working Group, EWG. So these are 2019 test results here, folks. So they found glyphosate in cereal. These levels were above 160 parts per billion, which is the health benchmark set by EWG. Let me go a little bit bigger here for you. So calculations suggest that 1 to 2 year old children likely experience the highest exposure to glyphosate, the potential cancer-causing chemical in Monsanto's Roundup. I think it was kind of basically assessed that does cause cancer now that it was in they had the court cases and everything, and these people won against Monsanto. I think Bayer maybe had to deal with that too. According to the agency's risk assessment, the exposure level is 230 times greater than EWG's health benchmark of 160 parts per billion. In May 2019 batch testing, EWG commissioned Aresco Laboratories. Geez, they did the study here, folks. I highlighted a few that might be pretty common that you might see in your grocery store. And look how high these things are. Honey Nut Cheerios Melody Crunch, 833 parts per billion. Now remember, they're saying the safe level was under 160 parts per billion was their benchmark, and we're way over. Nature Valley's Crunch granola bars, maple brown sugar, 566 parts per billion. Nature Valley baked oat bites, 389 parts per billion. Multigrain Cheerios, 216 parts per billion. I mean, this isn't stuff that you don't even like think that it should be there. And it just blows your mind. And even Chad in the chat says, this is important too, because I definitely am on board with him. Even organic can be sketchy. Yeah, because what are the ways for them to even make sure that it's free from that? You know, they could even give their cows, like if you want to talk about antibiotics, give them shots, you know, milk them till they're clean again and go from there. Eli LaRock in the chat says, look like Nature Valley turns out to be Glyphosate Valley. That's pretty damn good.
Uh-huh.
But it's all over. So now look at last year here, this article, previous glyphosate cereal testing last year, starred products exceeding 400 parts per billion. Back to Nature Classic Granola. Lucky Charms was the big one that I highlighted because that was always one of my kind of go-to cereals. So that was over. Again, a lot of Nature Valley. Nature Valley crunchy granola bars, oats and honey. Quaker Steel cut oats. International Agency for Research on Cancer labeled glyphosate as probably carcinogenic, and the California Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment categorized it as a chemical known to the state to cause cancer. Yeah. So why is glyphosate in our food? Now this is where it was coming into farm practices. Glyphosate is sprayed on crops like wheats, oats, and barley, and beans right before harvest. Farmers sometimes call this burning down the crop, and to do this to kill the food plants and dry them out so they can be harvested sooner. Again, it's all about, that's the thing with the monetary system, about profits. So the more you can get out, the more you can do, and then you get into this whole big farming. It's either go big or go home in the farming industry, and it's getting dangerous, I think, when you do that. But that's the way it goes. You know, if it wasn't about all that almighty dollar, which we do need to get away from at some point in this world, things would be a little different. 160 parts per billion are considered too high for children. To break that down into simpler terms, a child should not ingest more than 0.01 milligrams of glyphosate per day. Average adult weighing about 154 pounds is 1.1 milligrams per day. This safety level is more than 60 times lower than the standard set by the EPA. And of course, with smaller children, they're, you know, less material there, I guess, to soak up the bad stuff. So of course they're going to get a bigger dose if you're smaller. And then accumulation also is important here. The exposure to this toxic herbicide will certainly accumulate over time, which can become worrisome. Even a chemist here wrote, the FDA chemist, he brought wheat crackers, granola cereals, and cornmeal from home, and there's a fair amount in all of them. Grabbing stuff right out of his cabinet, folks. Oh, let's go test this today. Let's go test this. Taking into the lab. Holy cow. The hell am I doing? So now they did a study on organic versus non-organic products. 31 out of the 45 conventional product samples contain glyphosate levels at or higher than 160 parts per billion, while 5 out of 16 organic brands project registered low levels of glyphosate, 10 to 30 times parts per billion. Of all the organic products tested, none of them contained a level of glyphosate anywhere near the EWG benchmark of 160 parts per billion. So again, better, but it's reduced. But trying to get away from it completely, good luck. Right, Alex? Oh, I had that one up there too.
Good luck.
Organic foods, by drifting them, yeah, like I said before, can have a non-organic field. They spray it, you're going to get that drift over. So good luck escaping any of that. Trying to look at the chat here before I move on. Oh, Tim Jessica, I want to bring this up. I thought I heard somewhere that Trump was pushing to get rid of the Federal Reserve, or he's talking about it a lot through his tweets. Now, what I think he's doing is starting to build up to this point when we have the currency switch. I think things have to get he's basically got to show that the Federal Reserve is so bad, like they're not doing what they should be doing with the interest rates and that. And it's just going to be to the point where it's like they can finally, because you're going to have the congressional vote, I suppose. So he's probably actually even has to wait for the election. And man, that's another year yet. So we can finally switch it, but I just get tired of that. I'm ready to switch things and get started on the new world that we're supposed to see. Things change. Be very exciting. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short break. We'll come back. We're going to get into the Mars stuff, the laser ID beams, and much, much more. Stay tuned. Talk is cheap. Dan Hohlfeld.
Questioning your reality, questioning everything. You're listening to Talk is Cheap with Dan Hohlfeld.
Hello, planet Earth and beyond. Pete Hoblite from Talk is Cheap here, telling you to mark your calendars for August 8th through the 11th. We're heading west out to the ECETI Ranch. Dano, tell us what we're up to.
Yes. ECETI Ranch, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go see some UFOs. Bring one in. We want to see this stuff for once and for all because we always talk about it on here. Talk is cheap. It's time to go out and do something. August 8th through the 11th, ECETI Ranch. Go to eceti.org. Check out accommodations, and we hope to see you there.
This is Shane Robinson with Unbiased and On the Fence, and you're listening to Talk is Cheap with Dan Hohlfeld.
Right now at the K2D4 Network store, we have exciting new products available. First, get your morning started right with the new coffee mugs and signature stickers. Check out the amazing new beach towel. Show your support for the broadcast, even while you're at the beach. The signature Talk is Cheap pillow, available in 3 colors: white, black, and the signature orange. Keep it simple with the Talk is Cheap poster, the same background that is used in the show. We also have the new Be the Change tee. Give people the reminder that change begins within. All available right now at the K2D4 Network store. Go to k2d4network.com for more.
Hey guys, this is Carrie Walker from Alice Eats the Apple, and you are listening to Talk is Cheap with Dan Hohlfeld.
Live from the K2D4Network.com studios, it's Dan Hohlfeld.
Oh, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show for this July 23rd, 2019 edition. Live here every Tuesday, 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Wow. You start to see things start to change a little bit. You get excited. I'm excited to see some big change. Let's see Obama be tried for treason. Maybe Hillary. I want to see some of this big fruit come flying down. But let's get into our next article, ladies and gentlemen. The Pentagon can ID your heartbeat using laser beams. There's always another way. This is if we actually spent our time, ladies and gentlemen, enhancing humanity and making it better instead of figuring out ways to control us, manipulate us. You know, the black projects, that's all they do. They're so far ahead. And then it's up to the private industry to do everything else. If we could just work together, put it all together, and make something great, what a world we would have. The Pentagon has developed a new means of identifying people in conflict zones, laser beams. So a prototype developed for the U.S. Special Forces bounces a laser beam off a person to read their unique heartbeat signature, IDing them in seconds. The system is 95% accurate and can be used at a distance of at least 200 meters, making them useful at locations such as military checkpoints and elsewhere. Intelligent assets, known terrorists, or even civilians must be able to identify these people quickly and efficiently. And of course, it's going to help with the threat of suicide bombers. There's always got to be that threat there. Mr. Luis Elizondo, it's a threat, ladies and gentlemen. Aliens are a threat. The new biometric sensor works by bouncing a laser beam off a human target, the method called laser vibrometry measures the target's heartbeat off the surface of the skin. Each person's heartbeat is slightly different, making it possible to identify people by surface movement caused by the heartbeat. The laser can even read a heartbeat through layers of clothing. And because of this, they say the facial recognition can be defeated by wearing glasses or disguise. So that's another reason why they got to deploy other, and maybe deploying multiple of each. It does require 30 seconds of contact for a successful reading. And it requires the subject to be sitting or standing. So besides sitting or standing, what other positions could you do? Crouch? It can't read you if you're crouching? That's my question with the way this article's written. That's weird. So you got to be sitting or standing. And the Pentagon thinks it can exceed ranges greater than 200 yards. Again, it can be great when you got suicide bombers and all that other stuff. But again, the suicide bombers would have to have an ID, be in a database of somewhere so you can see that. But again, that's how it goes. So I want to move on to some space news, because this is the big thing, and this is a very funny article here. I'm going to get some transfer music.
I thought you were a woman.
Astronauts are out. America kids would rather be YouTubers. I got a very good explanation for all this. I'm going to read the article and give it to you. Wanting to be an astronaut when you grow up is just so passé. Nowadays, hip kids are more likely to say that they'd rather be a famous YouTuber, according to Lego-sponsored survey reviewed by Ars Technica. The survey, which asked 3,000 children from the US, UK, and China to rank their preferences for 5 different jobs, is an alarming sign of how attitudes towards scientific frontiers have changed across generations. I wonder why.
Oh, yeah.
American and British kids gave each of the 5 careers the same rankings. Vlogger, YouTuber beat out teacher, professional athlete, musician, and astronaut in that order. The survey didn't explore why children responded as they did, but the results are clear sign that American kids likely don't find astronauts as cool as they once did. I got a perfectly good explanation for this, folks. What it is they're not seeing any innovation in the space industry. We're still wearing these space suits and these clunky rockets that take us up to space. Of course, no one's going to be excited about that because it's like it's like so 1960s. Even though it's way farther advanced, but they keep that under wraps because they don't want to give us the technology. Not to mention what they're going to find up there when they get up there on the moon. They've been warned away from it. These astronauts have lots of bases, alien civilizations, if you will. It's so crazy that even talking about it makes you look crazy. Well, of course, it's going to be boring if that way. But if it's like the movies, which, you fly to a planet, you get to explore it, set up a civilization, everything works. And you got these awesome habitats. It's like a futuristic habitat. People get more interested in it. But when you talk about rockets and stuff, it's like, what? So I got 2 clips here, both from Trump and Pence. This one was in the Oval Office. They're talking about, should we set up a base on the moon or go Mars direct? And a lot of them were saying Mars direct. It's just interesting to break these down and see what they have to say.
To get to Mars, you have to land on the moon, they say. Any way of going directly without landing on the moon? Is that a possibility?
Yes. Well, we need to use the moon as a proving ground because when we go to Mars, we're going to have to be there for a long period of time. So we need to learn how to live and work on another world.
So how long a trip to Mars? How long would it take?
By the way, that for those people listening, that's the NASA administrator, Jim Bridenstine, the guy who I made that, who was kind of a cover for NASA. People thought the moon was bone dry, and he tries to put on this good face for NASA.
A 7-month journey there. The challenge is Earth and Mars are only on the same side of the sun once every 26 months.
Go ahead, tell me. What do you think?
We come back and try it again.
Yeah, I guess well, that's a long time. That's a long time. How do you feel about it?
Mars direct.
You like it direct?
Yes.
It seems to me Mars direct.
You're impatient.
I mean, who knows better than these people?
I like that. So kind of a hint, like, Trump knows we got this capability already. We got bases set up on Mars. Kind of giving a nice subtle hint, like maybe we could go Mars direct. Let's not screw around with the moon and just get her done. Who was that in the chat? DJ. He says, I got a good explanation for you on this one. DJ says, what does Eddie Bravo think of space? I can tell you what Eddie Bravo thinks. He's a flat earther, so there is no space for him. Yeah, I agree, Alberto. We've had an active space program since the 1960s, a secret space program, totally. So, and it's all about this public perception, trying to get the public up to speed, which is, it's a difficult job, I'll give them that. Because people like you and I want it to be quicker, and it gets frustrating, and then it goes slower. Like we had the 2 steps forward, which was, let's get to the moon and set up a base in, 2028. Now they step back again, so 2024 is when they want to do that. It's this push and pull like they've been doing with To the Stars Academy disclosure. So I think, those are 2 astronauts in there, Buzz Aldrin and Mike Collins talking, both saying Mars direct. Do they know something? Like, let's just do it, But, of course, the NASA guy, Jim Bridenstine, wants to, we got to set up on the moon, get all that. And it's the logical way for the average Joe to think about it. But when we actually have these mammoth spaceships out there already through Solar Warden, why not just skip it? Well, we've already done it, but yeah, it's so weird. Okay, now this is a clip with Mike Pence talking, re-clarifying, because the media wants to make Trump look like this crazy man. Oh, he just wants to just go to Mars. He wants to skip the moon and go to Mars. Clarifying that we're going to do the moon first.
The moon is first and then Mars, correct?
That's 100% correct. And that's the policy that the president's put into motion since reestablishing the National Space Council. And
why the ambiguity yesterday then?
Well, no, what the American people saw is the president I serve with every day. He always wants to go farther, faster, sooner. And so asking the tough questions, with the experts in the room, having Buzz Aldrin standing there, having Mike Collins standing there, getting their opinions, that's just how President Trump operates. But we understand when we go to Mars, and Americans are going to Mars, that we're going to have to have developed new technologies, new equipment, and gain new experience that we can only gain on the moon. And the president fully endorses that. It's one of the reasons why we set the goal that we're going to return American astronauts to the moon in the next 5 years and then go on to Mars.
Well, that's a good statement by the vice president. Say we are going to Mars, like no question about it. Now that the question comes into play of, how long is this going to take? And this is a surprising answer too when it comes up.
Americans, have not yet come to fully appreciate that we discovered ice on the moon. Now, and that means not only can we harvest water for a sustained presence, we can also develop fuel, we can develop oxygen. This has really changed the dynamic of American presence on the moon and the value that the moon presents to the United States to continue to advance our leadership in human space exploration.
So pushing again, hey folks, there's water on the moon and we can use this to develop fuel, oxygen, all that stuff, trying to get that public perception to change. It's been so driven down and bashed by the media and the false narrative that they kept pushing every day since you were born, trying to undo all that conditioning.
The president asked yesterday, why not Mars Direct? That's settled. We can't do that, and we're not going to do that.
It is settled, but I think the American people really appreciate that they have a president who's always asking questions. I mean, in a very real sense, Major, he leads by asking questions. And so constantly pushing, constantly asking. But make no mistake about it, from the very early days of this administration, this president set the goal to revive American leadership in human space exploration. It's amazing to think that when Apollo 17 left the surface of the moon in 1972, that we've never been back, that one administration after another paid lip service to human space exploration, but basically we've been caught in low Earth orbit. This is a president who absolutely has been committed from the very beginning to reviving American leadership in human space exploration. That begins with the moon, but we're going to Mars. But if our traditional partners can't do the job, we're going to look to the private space industry to give us the rockets and the technology to get there. All new technology. Space tourism will be a reality for Americans in the very near future.
Companies you just
and
mentioned.
Those companies we're going to continue to lean on. They launch rockets right here from the Kennedy Space Center on a regular basis.
People know that.
To carry payloads north. But we're going to continue to look to them to give us alternatives to continuing to provide American leadership in human space exploration.
Should we think
as well.
of this Mars in our lifetime in mind, in a lifetime? Your lifetime in mind?
Most certainly in our lifetime.
That's a huge
there and back.
There and back.
In your lifetime in mind.
I don't think there's any question whatsoever that we'll be at Mars well within our lifetime. But it all begins with the stepping stone of getting back to the moon, developing the new technologies and developing the new methods for long-term human presence on another
Before I round
planet.
this out.
Well, that's a huge statement there. They're going to have to accelerate this thing if they do plan on doing Mars within their lifetime. I guess Pence is only like 60, but 60, 70, 80, give them 20 years, 30 years. That's a pretty quick turnaround. And so, I mean, they have to launch out these new technologies. In there too, Pence was always saying new technologies, try to get that rolling too as well. Now, I was watching the chat as the video was rolling. Yeah, Pence is, I've never really been totally on board with Pence. There's rumors that he's also involved in the pedophilia thing. Do I dare say it? Do I get kicked off? You can kind of tell it's like he's like a fake in there, like his body language. It's all like in his there's no expression there. It's like he's dead. But Trump had to pick somebody, that the average voter could get behind. So can't have two guys that are well outspoken like Trump is. Way outspoken, I should say. Got to be politically correct on that one. But interesting stuff that should ramp up. I think I would like to have it sooner than later, but, you know, maybe after this election is over. Again, that's another year yet. Ugh. Get that election over. It's the last 4 years. Push a bunch of crap through because this is the last time you can do anything. But, oh, Terry in the chat says, let's picture this. JFK Jr. is live, right? Question mark. He comes out, airs out everything just in time for the elections and becomes a VP alongside Trump. Then becomes POTUS 4 years later. Oh, I like that idea. That's an interesting thing to think about, Terry. Wow. But I think from what we were hearing before, he was supposed to come out during that 4th of July parade, and then they held it off. Now they said they wanted to hold it off until the revalued currency, the rainbow currency, comes out. So, and I can't see that happening until after the election now with the puzzle pieces we've been given. Hopefully I'm wrong. But yeah. All right, I'm going to lightning round a few more, because these are all kind of crunched together, and I want to end with the brain chip thing for today's show because that's important. It's already old news, I guess. So let's do a quick changeover.
All fake.
That's what Eddie Bravo thinks. It's all fake. That's what I should have used. So into the 3D printing now, bringing out new technologies to do stuff. This is important, going to be important with the space travel stuff. NASA approves plan to 3D print giant spaceship parts in orbit. Again, you don't have to take much stuff up with you, folks. Print it while you're up there. This is going to be the same thing with food. They got the food printing machines. Can't talk about materializers yet. That's still cuckoo. But people can get around the idea of 3D printing and printing food because that's, well, of course. You just load it with this stuff and it comes out. NASA just awarded Man in Space a $73.3 million contract to demonstrate, it's only to demonstrate, folks, 3D printing spacecraft parts while in orbit using a small spacecraft called Argonaut 1. The craft will attempt to print two 32-foot beams that will eventually be used to hold solar arrays on both sides of itself. It seems like space stuff sure gets advanced real quick, but our modern civilization down here is like, what the hell are we doing? We're still loading our cars with fuel and still got to go to work. It's kind of like there's two different worlds. Well, there's three different worlds. There's the other one you don't see that's got the real technology too. So it's scheduled to launch on the Rocket Lab Electron rocket from New Zealand earlier than 2022. So that's a couple years out yet, according to NASA, of course. But again, the 3D print, this is why I brought this article up. It's the 3D printing stuff. Have less, but you can have more. That's what's so good about technology, I think. Like the fact of a phone, too. You can have all your music on it, access to anything. Watch videos. It got rid of all those different separate devices that you needed to do all that stuff, and it's all in one and it's simplified. Like it's getting to the point now where people won't have. I just sold all my CDs because I don't need them anymore. Why have all that stuff in your room when it's all on your phone? Takes up less space, make it simpler, and peace of mind. Really, less is more. So this goes into my next article very nicely. Bloke can't afford Lamborghini Aventador, so he makes one on his 3D printer. This is huge because when you talk about overpriced cars, what is a car? Oh, they can just print one. It's like, that's awesome. It gets rid of that crazy market, if you will. So again, he's still in development of this. This is physicist Sterling Backus. So this is a replica of a 275,000 pound Lamborghini. That's British pounds, of course. And it would still take some paint to cover this thing up. But just to think, and it's going to destroy the value of everything, because why should everything be overpriced? It's a rebalancing, if you will. I like it. So it's only going to cost him a total of around $20,000, and he confided to a 3D writing hobbyist site, All 3DP. You don't want to know the working hours involved in this thing. He's been working on it for around a year and a half now, and it's close to completion. Each panel has been printed in sections using printers bought from Amazon, and the sections are glued together and wrapped in carbon fiber Kevlar. Certain parts, such as the engine lights, can't be printed, so Sterling has bought them in. This is interesting for like a car insurance thing. If you crash, I guess you're kind of out of that money. You just have to fix it yourself. But if you're doing this yourself, he could probably, it would just be a setback. Again, this is just his hobby thing anyway, because he's got another car there. And he just took a regular V8 engine from a 2003 Chevy Corvette and then modified it with 2 turbochargers. And then whatever he couldn't print, of course, he sourced. My whole thing is, eventually we'll get to the point where you can print like damn near everything. You know, maybe the engine wouldn't be able to do that because all those internal moving parts like that. But and we actually, it'd be all solid state. Let me rephrase that, because of the way technology is going. You won't need gas and cylinders and all that crap. Probably just pop in a battery. But I just brought that up because, again, technology advances, folks. What does it changes the value of things. Chad says, I'm sure those printers in the tens of thousands. I don't know about the specific ones he used, but I know you can get some cheaper ones. But they'd have to be pretty big too to get those panel sections. A lot of them are just like, oh wow, cool, I can make this little trinket thing to put on my desk. But yeah. All right, I'm gonna lightning round 2 more articles before we close out, folks. I just want to bring this up quick. So the Navy ship used a drone defense system to take down the Iranian drone. Now this is the direct energy weapons that I've been talking about on the show. I think we covered it on the California Fires episode. They can just use these to take down the drones. I've showed the video footage of that. Just direct energy at the drone, burn a hole in it, knock it down. Being public now, I mean, that was public on there when I showed it, but this is how they did this drone for the Iranian drone that they just took down this week. Directed energy weapon, so it's becoming more mainstream now. And the funny thing is, they call it Thor, which is Tactical High-Powered Microwave Operational Responder. Interesting. Oh, we got a couple calls. I'm gonna bring these on the line. This is exciting. I haven't had a call for a while. So we'll go to area code 615. You're on the air.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, welcome to the show. Who is this?
Hey, thanks a lot. We've enjoyed it today. We've been following right along.
Can you get up on your mouthpiece?
How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, a little bit. So you're from Georgia?
No,
is this?
We're enjoying the show, man. We watch you every week. Usually we catch it on the replay.
Okay. Well, thanks for calling in. I haven't had a lot of people calling in a while.
Yeah, I know. We always feel sorry for you. You don't get any calls.
So what's your name?
We love you, man. You do great production there. You tell us about your production while you're doing it. It's a great thing you're doing.
Well, thanks a lot. I appreciate that, because, you know, you kind of look at with the Google censorship, oh, it's terrible now to even get views. So to hear that really helps me out.
I mean, that 19K, subs or whatever, it's ridiculous. You ought to have 200K.
And it's actually has gone down, because I'm not, people are leaving. People's ideas change or whatever, and I might say Trump and they might not like that and they leave. but I can't get that new audience because it's not coming up in the recommended section on the right.
Man, I don't know. Maybe you should recruit them because the audience is out there. Because we're in our 50s, and my wife and I are awake, and we're hip to all the stuff you're talking about today. We actually think that the safe level of Monsanto and for a child should be 0 parts per million, right? That should be the safe level.
It should be really close to 0, yeah.
Yeah, but they have a minimum that, this much is okay. It's ridiculous. The whole thing is just a big setup. That's like with Trump, and the Q and Pacify and all of us Republicans. Now, we were big Trump people, and still are, I guess. I enjoy the show of it, but it just seems like it is a show. And like you say, until Obama is tried for treason and Hillary, it's bullshit.
Yeah, I agree. We're ready to see something. He said he was going to get into office, do stuff, and then, well...
Across the board, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to get this in, man. Everything across the board is just going the same direction to shit. Everything from science to politics to social to race, everything, man. It's just all gone. And it's all headed. Look at the earth changes. Look at that on top of it. All the earthquakes, the big one in L.A. now, and all the new volcano underground out there they're finding out, and all these, warnings. And, I mean, when the event hits, it's just going to cascade across the country. And it's going to be too late then. I'm sorry to blow up.
No, it's fine. I want to hear people's let them vent on the show because you always get my perspective. I want to hear the other perspective. I've been a little let down too, but there is some small victories in there with some of the legislation he signed. I definitely like the tax cuts, but we want to see some big pieces of the pie, right?
Well, it's kind of like, if criminals can walk free and people can be treasonous against America and there's no penalty, it doesn't fucking matter about the taxes because we're not going to pay them. Right?
Yeah, taxes are a way to control the populace.
It's ridiculous. Why are people paying taxes to this lie? It doesn't make sense.
Personally, I think if they didn't take taxes directly out of your check, I think they'd have a hard time getting them. I really do.
Yeah, I think so too. That's why we're self-employed.
Well, that's good. That's a good start. Do you mind me asking what you do for a living?
Oh, we do all kinds of stuff, man. If it's broke, we can fix it. My wife and I are pretty skilled in electronics and carpentry and a lot of other areas. We're kind of, we've moved recently. We moved to the Appalachians. We're at about 2,500 feet and in a very rural area. And, of course, we're doing all the prepper stuff. And we've got medicine and food and shelter. And we watch a lot of channels that are talking about that. And they all have maybe 100K, the big, like, Bear Independent YouTube channel.
No, I never
He's
heard
on
of that
Patreon.
one.
Yeah, check him out, Bear Independent. Also, John at Prepared Mind. And these are prepper type guys, but they're really on. John especially is really good on the financial stuff that's going on and the band-aids they're putting on our system and stuff going on with the Fed and how they're doing, how they create cash and how it's all going to get ready to crash. You should really check that out, man. John at Prepared Mind.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't know what their trick is to getting all those subscribers. Maybe they did that before everything went to hell.
Well, they're really good and they're strong, man. They cross, man, between they got their Patreon and they got their YouTube, and it works for these guys. And they're it's all the same people that are watching all these truth channels. You just got to tap into that, Dan. And I'm trying to help you. I share whenever I can. And, of course, we're subbed to you on YouTubes. But we got to get it going. You got to get more people hearing this because what you're doing is great. And it needs to be heard.
Much. Yeah, I definitely appreciate that. In these dire times, I definitely appreciate that.
Well, just keep doing it. And it looks professional. It feels that way. And I've been trying to catch a Tuesday ever since we saw you didn't get any phone calls those couple of times. We're like, man, people should be calling this guy.
Yeah, right? Well, I'll be moving to nights before too long, so maybe that'll help. We'll see.
That's good. Yeah. So we got to get the promotion level of it up. So you got my number. Let me know if I can help.
Okay. Yeah, whatever you can do, share, of course. I tried the Patreon thing, but that hasn't been. I don't want to be one of those guys begging for money. I mean, it's over there, and it's at the end of the slate of every video. So I don't know, because eventually I'm gonna lose the monetization on YouTube, and there won't be anything left.
Right. Well, there's probably not much there now with 19K. How many? How much can it really be? Because they talk about these guys that used to make big money, $10,000 a month on YouTube, and now those guys are only making a couple grand.
Well, what's really disgusting? What's really disgusting is you can have these like women on Twitch and they can make over $100,000 a month selling their bathwater and stuff. That's mind-boggling.
Yeah, I know. I saw that shit, but that's just the sickness of society. The truth's going to be hard, the hardest thing to sell, because people don't want to hear it these days. Man, we're in the category of people that have lost a lot of friends and family because the truth is too hard to swallow.
Eventually, they won't have a choice, though, right? So.
One of these days, they won't.
Well, hey, thanks for calling in. I got one more call I want to tackle before I close out here. You're from Georgia. You didn't want to say your name?
No, we're from, we live in Tennessee now. This is Michael and Winston. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, I want to get to the other caller. It looks like Tim's on the line, but yeah, thanks for calling in and do it again.
For sure. We'll talk to you soon. You got it.
Bye.
Bye.
I had that. I got to get better with. I haven't had a call in so long, folks. I can't.
Thanks for your time.
There we go. All right, let's go to. This must be Tim. Area code 912. Tim.
Okay, am I on?
Yeah, you're on live.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. Hey, that was pretty good. Pretty cool. Somebody not too far away from me called in.
I know, right? At first, I thought he said he was Georgia, but.
Yeah, I thought that too. I think he said Appalachian Mountain area or whatever. But have to get in contact with that gentleman too. I didn't catch his name. But I had a couple things I wanted to talk about. What's funny is the last time that we chatted, remember how it was buffering a lot?
Yeah, that was I think the stream dropped.
Yeah, it just kept dropping and dropping. I have a weird feeling it might be an algorithm. Maybe it's just because we were saying Mr. Epstein, because that happened on a lot of other podcasts too. That they were getting kind of jungled, kind of strange.
Yeah, it'll freeze. It'll freeze. You can still hear them.
But, but it's kind of like it might be a little bit of censorship going on in there.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. But that other gentleman, he was talking about Monsanto, and it brought something else up from my past. So my father, his dad, he worked for Monsanto in St. Louis, and there was a big lawsuit. It happened about 10 years ago for people that used to work for the plant, for the family members, because my grandfather died of cancer, and it ended up being, I think they called it colon cancer or something, but what it really was is they were packing it's what is it? It's the stuff on the end of you put on the end of bullets, like the depleted uranium.
Yeah, DU.
Yeah. So he was exposed to that stuff. So they actually awarded my entire family, each kid got $10,000. That's what they gave them for wrongful death, and that took like about 30 years.
Just enough to make.
But it wasn't part. that's nothing, you know, like, but kind of strange. Like, it was way under the wire. Like, it wasn't talked about on the news and stuff. And I was actually doing sound and video for corporate events at the time in St. Louis. And I brought it up to my dad because I happened to be staying with them. We were just hanging out in the garage. And I'm like, Dad, didn't Grandpa used to work at Monsanto? Because they were doing a press conference at the hotel. And I was doing the sound and video for the press conference. And that's when my dad told me about it. Like, because I guess we shouldn't really talk about it. It was just pretty crazy that Monsanto's into a lot of dirty stuff.
That's crazy.
So they
Yeah.
they let the workers basically, they exposed them to really bad stuff. And
So was he just doing like testing on this or something before they put it on shelves?
I don't know. I'd have to ask my dad exactly what he was doing, but he was just like a factory worker for Monsanto, and he was exposed to it in some way. I wish I had a clearer, description of exactly what happened, but there's dirty stuff going on with Monsanto for sure. But
yeah, it's
anyway,
sold out to Bayer right now, so it's Bayer now that's gonna get the.
Yeah. So one other thing, what was I gonna say? The Edge of Wonder guys today are doing a thing with James Gillian, the dude you guys are going to go hang with. And it's supposed to be pretty good. So I recommend everybody check that out because I guess they saw some pretty crazy stuff just recently, like the 4th of July thing. Yeah, okay. So I think there's going to be some video even.
Okay. Yeah, I think they're probably, actually I shouldn't say it, but they're probably live right now.
Jealous. Yeah. Well, that's cool. I don't want to take up too much time, but good talking, man.
Yeah. Awesome to have you call back in. I appreciate it so much because there's not many people that do it.
Yeah. I think it makes the show better, too. It brings people together. I mean, shoot, that guy lives, not too far from me. So I'd like to get in contact with him. He sounds like he's pretty knowledgeable on a lot of other stuff that maybe we haven't been talking about.
Yeah, for sure.
How we learn,
all right, Tim. We'll
all right,
talk to you
later,
again.
Dan.
Yep. Bye.
Have a good day.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, I think the Edge of Wonder guys are broadcasting right now. Funny enough, I never got kicked off the show today. That's a first for a long time. So before I end out, I did want to touch upon this really quick. The brain chips, folks. The tech guy inside of me likes this in a way, and then you think about the biblical stuff to this, and it's like, no, you probably shouldn't be interfacing this stuff in your brain. But even like Deus Ex, the video game, they had all this stuff implanted in them. That was like a cyberpunk game, but that's actually becoming more and more true for everything that happens. The way this whole thing was presented too is like they really didn't even show the benefits immediately. They were talking about just sticking it in your brain and it's normal, and they can sell it like, it's gonna be great because people that can't see will be able to see. You can fix things, and it's a double-edged sword when it comes to technology because you can get pretty nasty if they can just shut you off. And that actually happened in the Deus Ex game when you're playing it, Human Revolution. They were supposed to go in for an upgrade because the chip was bad or whatever. You're supposed to go in for the upgrade. And there's two storylines. Like, one, if you go in for the upgrade, like later on, you get shut down in the game and you lose your abilities. But in the timeline where you don't go in for the upgrade, you're fine. But you still have this thing in your head, but they could probably upgrade it remotely if they really wanted to. But again, I like the idea of people that don't know much. You could just, I don't know how to fly a plane. Upload that, boom, you know everything. That part I like, but at the same time, it's a double-edged sword, folks. And you're talking about biblical beast stuff, and it can get pretty nasty. But this is supposed to be implemented pretty quick, which will be interesting. But It is what it is. Thank you everybody for joining me today. I'm not going to take up any more time, and we'll see you next week on Talk is Cheap, where cheap is talk and talk is cheap.
Thanks for listening. Visit k2d4network.com today.